No, I won't say please. I love that. Unapologetic.
You would.
What you trying to say?
You would.
Damn right I would.
So the other snippet that I pulled that I wanted to read was there's always a way. Here in November, in this house of leaves we'll pray. Please, I know it's hard to believe. Oh. To see a perfect forest through so many splintered trees. You and me and these shadows keep on changing. That's the one that now has taken on more meaning.
And they do change. The shadows do change.
And that's what so it was interesting because again, my relationship with the song has changed. My relationship with my father has changed. I didn't understand what this meant 20 years ago.
And it's so profound because just like we say, the person has just left from the 3D, the shadows change. It doesn't mean that, like, you may not be able to see the tree anymore, but that doesn't make the shadow any less real. You know what I mean? Like, if something is casting a shadow, it isn't a specter. Like, it's very real.
Yeah. You know, earlier you talked about loss, you know, and how you don't really lose someone. But in the three-dimensional world,
that separation is
you
hell.
are, and or you're abandoned. Like that's
one part of it for sure.
That's a feeling that happens.
Oh yeah.
Like, because you can intellectualize that someone got sick and died, right? And you understand that. That does not change the feeling of you have left me.
100%.
Right? And I think that's I don't know, like that's something that I had to really like come at from like a bunch of different perspectives. And that I didn't, you know, and it kind of still blows my mind now when, you know, years of therapy, you know, all of this other stuff that you do to like face things and get over things and let go, and what is letting go.
Don't get me started on that bitch Elsa in her fucking ice castle.
No,
like
that is
let
not.
It go. I'm like,
that's not even where my head went. Like,
no, but you know what I mean. Like there's that mantra. Certain people are like, well, just let it go.
So here's the thing, though. Yes, and I think that that further kind of validates that idea that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When you have a connection with someone, let's say it's energetic or physical, then you are not going to be able to let go. What you can do is expand, right? Your understanding changes. It expands.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? You're looking at it from a different perspective, a different understanding. It expands. And in that expansion, you know, more room is made.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, as it expands, as the threads may be loosened, the cords, they may not be severed, but maybe that cord that was a rope that was really tied, and it had knots in it, and it was, you know what I mean? And it was connected, and it was tangled, and it was connected with metal, and it was...
Yeah, it wasn't a cord. Like, you're like, oh, that's so cute, little ribbon. No, this was steel cable. That was woven with 3 other steel cables.
So if we're going to use that imagery, like some of those relationships, some of those bonds, some of those ties, it takes a minute to untangle. It takes a minute to loosen. It takes a minute to expand. It takes a minute to change that material, to undo those weaves, right?
Well, that goes along with you forcing your expectations onto what you wanted it to be. And even in the letting go, I want you to go. And all it wants is to be heard and seen and connected with and felt and accepted as is.
Like I didn't have the capacity I didn't have the language. I didn't have the understanding of like what I was experiencing.
Honey, you aren't going
Right.
to sit there and intellectualize what drowning is like when you're actually fucking doing it.
Right.
I don't have the time
But
to
that's
give you a
the-
dissertation
but
on
that's the
drowning
power-
when I'm literally trying to not drown.
But that's the power of the music.
Yeah.
Right. The way that music saves my life is that it was this output. It was this beautiful, creative, you know, expression of vulnerability and honesty that someone had that encapsulated what I felt that I did not have the ability, the language, or even the life experience to articulate. And yet it was my truth, you know, and so that's why this is our first song, and this is why I love it, and this is why
this is the first
and
song
this
that
is why I
introduced
like
us to one another. Yeah.
you know,
Because, you know, we do light and airy over here.
yeah, I mean, and I do also want to say that, like, yes, we've decided to go in on grief because it is this thing that connected us, right? It is the reality of our life and lived experience. It is also just an aspect of who we are. It is not all that we are.
No.
And yet, I think that
I'm the universe in a drop. Try and confine me. That's one thing. Shit. I dare you.
Absolutely. You touched on this earlier, and it's important to like to say again and to acknowledge. I think it's important to acknowledge, and that is that in this moment, in this space, for many, for a plethora of reasons, there is pain in the world that we cannot deny.
Yes.
And we are in a state of grief, and we must express it, we must explore it, we must acknowledge it so that we can transmute it.
Anything that is arising, it's asking to be seen, heard, felt, accepted, and connected with, and accepted as it is. Kicking and screaming.
And so in the here and now, what are the things that, you know, where are you?
Yeah.
What do you need? What helps? What brings the slightest bit of solace? You know, if it's just for a moment, you know, and then given more space, and, you know, it does begin to change, but it is not on a linear timeline. And it doesn't,
definitely not,
right?
And it circles back, and it's different. Like there's like a little like spice or flavor to it. To speak to what you just said, there's nothing wrong with us when we are quote unquote unwell or unbalanced or whatever, you know, whatever label it's being given. There's nothing wrong. Like, okay, you did something fucked up. Well, guess what? People in fucked up situations do fucked up shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when your nervous system is at its done point,
Right.
its fuck it point, then it's going to go back to old ways that actually kept you alive and got you here. So there, no matter what's going on, whether it's procrastination, whether it's you being an asshole, whatever it is, whatever we beat ourselves up about because we quote unquote know better.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with us. Because at our core, we still have that calm eye of the storm. There's still that inner okayness, that little tiny part of you that's okay no matter what's going on. And everything else is your nervous system and your being doing what it's supposed to do to keep you alive and keep you going. Whether it's dysfunctional or not is irrelevant.
Well,
because that's what you're taught. You're taught the dysfunction. So even that, like, people blame themselves for a lot of shit.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm fucked up. No, honey. You aren't fucked up. You may feel fucked up.
Yeah.
Your emotions, like, you may feel like this is fucked up. And yes, this may very well be fucked up. You may have inherited a lot of fucked up shit.
Yes.
But this whole I'm going to shame and blame and, you know, guilt myself into being a better person, doesn't fucking work.
I was, you know, in my meditation and journaling and whatnot, I wrote down, I don't learn through trauma.
Exactly. Oh, and to those people who are like, well, you know, it made you a better person. You're a stronger person. No, I made me a better person. I made me a stronger person. Trauma doesn't make you stronger or better. So we can do away with that mythology right now. But, you know, now you have character. Honey, I got character for days. Which one you want to talk to? I have character. I don't need more character.
You're
That's
like,
called,
I have a
that's called
pantheon.
trauma. Like,
if you're comfortable sharing that you've experienced a lot of death in your life recently.
yeah, like my entire life. I don't think I've,
But I was,
but
like,
yeah, we
you
were
and
laughing
I
about
will
it.
talk on the phone, and I would just be like, so how many funerals do you
Exactly.
have this week?
I'm like, no, because you were like, what's your schedule like? Let me check my funeral schedule. And you were like, what are you talking? Because we had 11 deaths in 1 month.
Yeah.
Like 9 of them were in 1 week. And I was
wild.
like, even for me, because I don't think I've, you know, some people, they can go their entire lives. I don't think I've ever gone, I know I haven't gone an entire year without anybody I know I died.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then my response was like, you must have really cool funeral outfits. That's why.
I'm like, why do you think half my closet's black? Yes.
I was like, you're gonna need to take it up a notch.
Yeah,
like
right?
at this point, you know. I'm such a bitch.
No, but it's true. Like, you're like, oh, you should. No, this is what you should start wearing hats. You need to start with the accessories. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
I mean, layer it in.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I would say is I do want to explore in this series, you know, what are the things that have brought solace? What are the things that have helped give perspective? Even if it's just for a moment. So I'm excited to continue this exploration with you.
Me too.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
It's
On
always
this
a pleasure.
eve.
I love being with you. You know that.
And thank you to everyone that is listening and joining this process. We hope that you enjoyed it, or that it gave you some things to explore and think about.
Or at least you laughed at my ridiculousness at some point. I hope whatever day or night you're having, that it's easy. I hope that there's ease in it. There you go. I hope there's ease.
Yeah.